20 books about movies that every film lover should own.
Okay. Let me see if I own any of them. I mean,
I'm sure you own most of them, probably.
Oh, I doubt it.
The New Biographical Dictionary of Film by David
Two
Thompson.
editions. 2 different editions.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But that's the David Thompson thing, right?
Right. Mhm.
Yeah, I've had that. I don't have it anymore, but I had it.
Mark Harris's book, Pictures at a Revolution. We had him on the show.
Yeah, that was a good show.
And this was a book about that he wrote about the 5 movies and the birth of the new Hollywood. The Oscar
good book.
year.
Great book. It's worthwhile reading.
The Oscar year that the Bonnie and Clyde in the Heat of the Night, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, The Graduate. They were all up against Dr. Dolittle.
And Dr. Dolittle.
Yeah. Let's not forget that. One of these flicks is not like the other.
That's some of the best part of the book is going through the Dr. Dolittle sections because it's such a disaster.
I know.
That's a really fun book. Really fun book that you can read like in a weekend. It's so engrossing.
It is too. I mean, it's an illustration of the divide that was happening between new and old Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
And it's right there, Dr. Dolittle in the midst of those other 4 titles. That odd kind of transition that was happening. Easy Riders, Raging Bulls, Peter Biskind.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I think everyone on this show has that.
Yeah.
I let Chris borrow my copy of that years ago, and I have never gotten it back.
Mm.
And I've been really wanting to read it again. I bought it when it first came out, and I haven't read it since. Here's an interesting one. The Other Hollywood, the Uncensored Oral History of the Porn Film Industry.
I have that. That's a great book.
Really?
I do have that. I read that like there was no... You would thought the world was going to end the way I was reading that. I'm not joking.
Wow. What is it? Is it sort of a narrative...
I mean, the idea that you have oral in the title is hysterical, but but it is like basically from the beginning to what would be the present. I guess it's edited by Legs McNeil, who also did a great oral history of punk called Please Kill Me, and he's awesome. But he got everyone for this book. It's fascinating. I strongly recommend it.
So far, dude, you own every single one we've
I know, this
so
is
far.
very frightening. Please let there be the rest I don't own. I mean, please.
You'd like a new book to have for the collection,
Yes,
wouldn't you?
I would be. You're absolutely right.
Okay, here's our next selection. Spike, Mike, Slackers, and Dykes, a guided tour across a decade of American independent cinema.
Yeah, I had to buy
I
it.
still never read that.
I read it, and I loaned it to someone, and I had to buy another edition of it. So yeah, I have that.
They say the ideal companion to it is Sharon Waxman's book.
The Rebels in the Backlot?
On the Backlot, yeah.
That's a great book. I don't know what happened to that book. I don't know where that is, but yeah.
They say the ideal companion to Easy Riders is a book called The Movie Brats that's out of print now.
Well, now I don't have that.
That profiles 6 auteurs of the era: Coppola, Lucas, De Palma, Milius, Scorsese, and Spielberg in their prime. That'd be interesting to read.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The Movie Brats. I'm pretty sure you could, it's out of print, but you could buy something like that off of Amazon.
Oh yeah, I'm sure of it.
Their next book, Pauline Kael, her collection, For Keeps, 30 Years at the Movies.
God, I have that one too. Shit.
I love that book, of course, anything that Pauline Kael comes out with, but I'd have to go and pick, something like I Lost It in the movies.
Yeah, of course.
Because I just, you want, those are all capsule reviews, I think, in For Keeps.
No,
isn't that 5,001 Nights at the Movies or something?
That's 5,001 Nights at the Movies. You're right. Okay.
For Keeps is great.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it's heavy. It's a collection from the beginning of her career to the end.
Just
don't drop it on your foot, and you'll be all right.
I've used it for so much research for this show.
It's a great. Oh God, I can just live in that book. Actually, I have the other 2 Pauline Kael books that came out last year, the biography on her and the other collection that came out of her, that Kael Renaissance that happened about a year ago.
All of those books are worth getting. Though I just get every single one of those books. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and all of those.
Mm-hmm. Roger Ebert's Awake in the Dark. 40 years of reviews, essays, and interviews.
Oh, my God, I have that, too. Oh, God.
I still don't have that.
Molly Haskell's book, From Reverence to Rape, The Treatment of Women in the Movies.
I don't have that. I should get that. Okay. When I have money again, I'll do that.
The ideal companion to that book is Robert Cockler's Cinema of Loneliness.
That's a good book.
Oh, yeah, I love that book. That's a great book.
The Jaws log, Carl Gottlieb, just got reissued when they did the Blu-ray of Jaws.
Mm.
Sidney Lumet's Making Movies.
That's a good book.
Oh, yeah.
A really good book.
That's possibly the greatest book about, like, just directing, like, I think. Like, just, he's just got, you just use that as a textbook, really. That's a brilliant, brilliant book. What is his great achievements?
They
say the ideal companion to that is the Rodriguez book, The Rebel Without a Crew.
That's a great book. That's a fantastic book too.
Being part of the medical experiment for the cholesterol drug or whatever.
Oh God,
it was,
yeah. Oh my God.
To raise
all
money.
These experiments. Oh my God, yes.
There's a lot of other books out there that I would recommend. That were left off that list. Like chief among them, there's no Danny Peary book in that list. So, and he's like one of the, for me, right next to Cale, the greatest writer about movies. Even though he doesn't write about movies anymore, he writes about sports. But those Guide to the Film Fanatic and the three cult movies books, and his book called Alternate Oscars, where he goes through every year and picks the top 3 awards, repicks them.
I've got the Alternate Oscars book. Yeah.
I would put Robert Evans' book in there.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Or, oh, God, there's so many more. I mean, Hitchcock and Truffaut, the collection of interviews that they did, or even this is Orson Welles by Peter Bogdanovich.
Yeah, or other Peter Bogdanovich books, Who the Hell Made It, Who the Hell's in It, and also The Final Cut, about the making of Heaven's Gate and The Devil's Candy by Julie Solomon.
Exactly. I would also throw in there Joe Bob Goes to the Drive-In, the first collection of Joe Bob Briggs' stuff, because that's extremely fun reading.
Yeah, those are good stuff. The Video Hound guides from the 90s. I would throw those in there for sure.
Definitely also the Psychotronic Encyclopedia.
Yeah, these are all sure things.
Or also, oh God, I have a great book called Incredibly Strange Films that was actually put out as an issue. I guess it's kind of like it's a book, but it came out as part of the Research. Remember Research back in the 80s that put out all these crazy books about all different kinds of subjects, tattoos and piercings and stuff like that.
Right.
Like this book has another like really wild collection of interviews with people like Russ Meyer and Herschel Gordon Lewis and Larry Cohen. Joe Sarno, Radley Metzger, I think, is in there. And, I mean, just lots of great info in that book. And then finally, I would also throw in a book that I think is out of print now, but it's called, I think it's called Film Forum, and it's basically they take they talk to about 40 different directors, Godard and Lumet and all around the world, Altman and so forth, and all the chapters are split up in terms of all of the different things that, like there's an editing chapter and a marketing chapter and so forth, and it's all of these directors. Scorsese's in there too, just talking about these specific aspects of movies in every chapter. So that's a fascinating, unbelievable, indispensable book.